So today is December 21st, 2020, and a lot of people are talking about the spiritual meaning and significance of this day. What exactly is happening on December 21st today? Well, there's been a lot of hype about it. Some people believe that there is going to be multiple universes. Other people believe that our dormant extraterrestrial DNA will be activated. Other people believe that this date is when the entire Earth will shift into fifth dimensional consciousness. Then there are some that feel that it will be the start of the New World Order. And on the horizon, the significance that December 21st will be the shortest day and the longest night of the year, signifying a return to the light, as once it passes, the days will begin to have more daylight in them again as we head towards the summer solstice. If you're into astronomy, December 21st, 2020 is the Great Conjunction Day. That's the day that Jupiter and Saturn will occur on December 21st, 2020. That's today, the Northern Hemisphere's winter solstice. And at that time, two planets will be their closest that they have been in over 800 years, since it is said the first time, the first Christmas, or the day that it was said that the Christ child was born. So whether you believe in Christ consciousness or celebrate Christmas or whatever you're celebrating this holiday season, it is a significant day. And for my family and I, last year on December 21st, 2019, we lost my youngest son, Michael Franklin, and he passed away peacefully in his sleep. He had a very unique but not rare, as you think, heart condition. It's called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. We first found out about it when he was playing basketball in 5th grade, and it was pretty serious then, and we were really fortunate. The doctors did ablation and treatments and said, some people go on to live a really long life. One never knows. And I was of the opinion that we give him regular checks, and then we just have to let Michael live a beautiful life. And that's what he did. And he did pass away in his sleep at the home of his grandparents. And on the longest night, on our winter solstice last year. So this is a very sacred time for us as well. And after all was said and done, it seems like we were just waking up from our beginning stages of the grieving and healing process when we were hit with the pandemic, and we realized, wow, as a family, we really needed the universal pause. And so we were so grateful for even the universal pause. Is a day for us and for many people of significance spiritually. And there's something about the holidays. I remember when we made the arrangements and found a beautiful place in California where anybody who visits Michael's site can see the Hollywood sign, and there's 5 different churches and temples nearby surrounding the site, where you can hear different music, and every day the monks chant, and you can hear them chanting, and so many different prayers are heard over where he rests. So that was so interesting and difficult for me as a mom. And as I talked to the director there, one of the things that I learned that I wasn't really aware of is that the holiday season, especially this time of year, is the time when most people lose a loved one. It's the highest time. It's like the season when people transition. Okay, so here is a portion of chapter 2. It is a good way to review grief recovery for yourself or to help a loved one, family, or friend that you know that is going through the sacred journey of grief recovery. Take a listen.
2. Feel your feelings. Grief. My dad was diagnosed with cancer and passed away on Father's Day, a few months before my son was born. 3 months later, his mother passed away, joining my paternal grandfather, who had passed away when I was younger. 6 months after that, my grandmother's death, my maternal grandfather passed away. Then my maternal grandmother, the last of my grandparents, passed away too. I lost all of these relatives in such a short period of time. I had 4 gift stores and was getting the 5th up and running. I had just given birth to my youngest child, and I was taking care of the other people who were still alive, and they were grieving too. I noticed that my remaining family and our close friends all grieved differently. Some people cried straight on for a couple of weeks or months and just really disconnected from society. They went into complete grieving, like they took a grief vacation. Other people who had a tendency to drink or use other substances went off the deep end with their addiction as a coping mechanism. Then they had to get through that backslide and get back on their feet and out of whatever bad habit was brought back into their life. I had never faced so much death or had anything big to grieve before. I didn't know what to expect of myself or how to process this grief and sadness. I still had to function. I had to pay the bills, take care of the kids, do all the things that a parent does. I had other elders who were still living, who were sick and needed care. I didn't have the luxury of taking that grieving break, although that would have been helpful and healthier. So I worked for 14 to 16 hours straight until I was ready to collapse from exhaustion. I remodeled every store. I redid all the displays. I decorated for every new sale. When the store closed and it was after hours, I would listen to music, sing, and cry while I designed. I didn't let it out all at once, but in little bits at a time. It took a good 6 months to cry out all my tears after my dad died, and of course, in those 6 months, somebody else died. I wasn't done. I was back at it again, but this time I knew how I processed it. I never took time off, but work was my therapy. That was my drug of choice, and it was a very productive one. I just worked and cried in the privacy of my own space. When I was with customers, I had my public face on. I would greet them and be present and happy and help them find what they were looking for. I was able to take a small break from grieving in those moments, and that was a relief. I didn't have to grieve full time. It wasn't until a couple years later, after my father and grandparents had died, that I realized it took longer, maybe, for me to process because I only let little bits out at a time instead of having a total breakdown. I slid slowly into that rock bottom instead of diving headfirst. Through the fog. Grief looks different for everybody. Each person goes through the grief process in their own way and for different lengths of time. You might need 6 months of solid grieving or a year, or you might let it out a little bit at a time like I did. You could have advice from the best people on the planet, but until you're ready, you can't move on. I have an older friend whose husband died, and she had to go through a 2-year time frame of dealing with her grief and adjusting to her loss. She calls this transitional time the fog. Grief and the ensuing fog can come for anyone, and you just need to give it time. If you move on too soon, you're not healed up, and you can end up in a new broken situation, whether that's a bad relationship or battling an addiction. It's best not to make huge decisions until you get through the fog, so you don't make the wrong choices. If you do need to make a serious decision, make sure to consult an expert, get second or third opinions, and listen to your intuition. You need to get through the fog in order to get to a healthier, happier place. You are not alone, and the fog will not last forever. That I can promise. Know that there's a point when you're finished grieving, but that doesn't mean you will never grieve again. My dad died on Father's Day, so every year when Father's Day comes around, I'm still melancholy. I choose to celebrate the magic memories I had with my dad and am grateful to be connected to all my cousins who are on his side of my family. Today, I have happy memories, and once in a while I shed a tear for those who have transitioned. The pain of my loss has lessened with time, yet it had to be on my time. I've come to terms with my family's transition. Now, I feel my relatives who have passed are all spiritual beings helping me out here and there. I will often say to myself, I wonder how my dad or grandparents would have dealt with this situation. Then I can almost hear their words of wisdom. All their wisdom and memories are planted in the pocket of my heart as an additional guide and resource for me, always. We are still very much connected. Our relationship has just changed a little. I'm always grateful for their memories and the legacy of wisdom they left for me. 20 years later, you still honor and grieve your loved ones in one way or another. It's not like they disappear from your heart. You just come to a different place where it's not as difficult as when it first happened. Until you're ready and able to move on, nobody can push you. The door is open. There's no lock on the door, but you have to walk through it on your own. Say goodbye to other people's expectations. Just as there's no right or wrong length of time for the grieving process, there's also no right or wrong way to process that grief. When you're grieving and going through this personal situation, you're going to have a lot of people who try to help you through it or expect you to just get over it. How you grieve and process that grief is right for you. No one can tell you exactly what you need. Honor the time it takes for you to grieve. Walk and work through it rather than just trying to get over it. Walking through the grieving journey is natural, normal, completely healthy, and sane. It's part of our process as human beings. Honor that part of you as much as you honor the part that laughs and plays and does fun things. That emotion of grief is just as good and helpful and purposeful as any other emotion we have. It's sometimes looked down on in society, or we're made to feel like we have to hide our grief. You can do whatever you choose to do with that, but don't hide it from yourself. It's like any kind of healing. If you want to heal, you're going to have to go through the pain. To get to that other side, you have to come to terms with it in your own way, and everybody has their own way of coming to terms with it. Some people may take time away from everybody else and pray or meditate in isolation. Others may choose to surround themselves with people or distract themselves in work or volunteering to take a break from the pain. Too many people feel the should in a lot of parts of their lives. I should feel this way, or I should do this because I see other people grieving like this. Find some way to honor what you need, whether that's taking a walk every night or going to bed early or just asking for help getting through the day. If you need to cry every night for 6 months or journal or take long walks or hike or do yoga every day to get through it, do whatever you need to do. It's all okay. There's no magic bullet to end your grief. There's no magic moment when you get over it. All grieving is individual. There are also many ways to honor your loved one. You can have a memorial or ceremony personalized around the person who passed and those who remain. You can connect with others and share your favorite memories. Take pictures of them at different stages of their life or of their house or whatever you want to remember about them, and make a collage with your favorite pictures. Do something so you have a memory and you honor that grieving time. You may even do things differently for different people that you lose. Just honor whatever comes to you, because honoring your loved one is part of healing. There's no right or wrong. However you need to heal is the best way. I wouldn't worry that someone grieved too long or too hard, but I would be concerned if someone gets stuck in their grief, feeling like they've lost their identity and aren't sure how to continue forward in life. They may need more extensive help processing that grief. And I would definitely be troubled by someone who isn't grieving the loss of a close loved one at all. If there's no crying, no feelings or emotions, they're not going through that process and something's not okay. They might be in denial, and that just means the grief will come out in some other way at another time. That person probably needs to get help from a therapist or trained professional. Please check out the resource guide at the end of this book, as well as my website for updated resources and additional activities that can point you toward the help you may need.
So for those of you tuning in today, I have a special gift offer for you. It is a free gift. So if you or a loved one you know may be walking through the sacred journey of grieving to healing this holiday season, go to www.sheilamac.com/grief support, and there you or your loved one will receive a free ebook for the sacred steps to healing through the grief process. All right. Get your copy today of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. The formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. Available on Amazon, Audible, and www.sheilamac.com. If you or a loved one are going through the sacred journey of grieving to healing this year or this holiday season, I do have a special gift just for you that you will receive when you request it. Go to www.sheilamac.com, www.sheilamac.com/grief support, and there you will receive a free gift for you or your loved one to help you get through this journey of grieving to healing in community. And also, if you wanted to go further through this process, I do have a grief recovery course and support group that I run on a weekly basis. It is a month-long at a time commitment, and we have small groups that form and we walk through this process together. And so that is also something you can find on my website at www.sheilamac.com. So this year and this winter solstice, I am sending you much love and light. And now, a good place to start is to get my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible, and that is a great way to start if you are looking to learn how to use the Boots formula to reinvent your business and personal life